What's the most instant regret you've ever seen? Last spring, this older couple moved into our quiet neighborhood. Harold and Betty, sweet as pie. You know the type. Wave at you from their driveway kind of folks. Betty had just gotten hip surgery, so Harold spent a whole weekend building her a small white wooden ramp over their front steps. It wasn't flashy, just practical. Matched their house, had neat little railings, looked great. Exactly 1 week later, Carol showed up. Carol was our HOA president and neighborhood dictator, the kind of person who carries a clipboard like it's a badge and once measured someone's grass with a ruler. She came marching up to Harold's door, heels clicking like a drill sergeant, waving a stack of official-looking papers. "This violates Section 12 of our community standards," she said, pointing at the ramp like it was radioactive waste. Harold stepped out in a cardigan, looking calm but confused. "It's for my wife. She just had surgery. Doctor says she'll need it for at least 6 months." Carol crossed her arms and said, "I don't care what any doctor says. You've got 48 hours to remove this eyesore or face $100 per day in fines." She even tapped the violation notice with her pen, like that made it more official. Harold asked to see the exact bylaw she was referencing. Carol's smile turned smug. "You people always try to find loopholes," she snapped. "Rules are rules." Then she turned and strutted back to her car like she'd just closed a big real estate deal. I saw Harold that evening in his garage, pulling out a huge old filing box and spreading papers all over his workbench. Quiet guy, but I knew something was coming. The next night was our monthly HOA meeting at the community center. Carol, of course, was front and center, breezing through her agenda. Mailbox paint colors, recycling bins, some nonsense about wind chime. That's when Harold stood up in the back. He was holding a fat manila folder and spoke in a calm voice that somehow commanded the entire room. "Excuse me, Carol. I'd like to address the violation notice you gave me yesterday." Carol rolled her eyes. "Mr. Williams, we already discussed this. Remove the ramp or pay the fine." Harold opened his folder and pulled out what looked like a small book. "I spent 30 years on the legal team that helped draft the Americans with Disabilities Act," he said, casual as can be. "And according to federal law, Section 504, private communities receiving any federal funding cannot restrict accessibility modifications." Dead silence. Carol's face went from annoyed to confused to deeply, deeply worried. Harold kept going, calmly flipping pages. "Last year, our community received federal grant money for new playground equipment, correct? That means we fall under ADA protections. I have all the documentation here." Then he really dropped the hammer. He pulled out his phone. "I also recorded our conversation yesterday, particularly the part where you said, and I quote, 'You people always try to find loopholes.' For context, my wife and I are 2 of only 3 black residents in this subdivision." The room somehow got even quieter. Carol went pale. She started stammering, saying she didn't mean it like that and was just following policy. Harold didn't flinch. He said, "The penalty for HOA discrimination under federal law starts at $10,000 per incident, plus legal fees." Then he smiled. "But I'm not interested in lawsuits. I just want my wife to be able to enter her own home safely." At that point, the rest of the board started panicking. The treasurer stood up and said they were calling an emergency vote to remove Carol as HOA president, effective immediately. The vote wasn't even close. They begged Harold to take over. He just chuckled and said he was too busy helping his wife recover. Carol tried to say something else, but no one was listening anymore. Harold quietly packed up his folder, nodded to the board, and left, calm, collected, and victorious. Instant regret? Carol's face as he said Section 504. I've never seen someone deflate so fast in real time.